guys' first time then do the podcast?
Not in my situation.
Oh yeah, because do you do the Black and Irish podcast as well? Do you?
I sat in on 2 episodes, one recently to promote the event. I actually have my own podcast.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
What's it called?
The Political Incorrectors podcast. We try to make Irish politics more accessible to young people.
Oh, okay.
Boring, so
I'm not gonna lie to you, Irish politics seems so fucking boring.
I'm right there.
Objectively, it is.
All I see is Sheena Fage, Fina Fall,
Fina Gale, Fina Fall.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I know. Like, I'm not even like, you know when the T-shirt changed? I didn't even know.
And then they changed back to him again. I was like, what? They said it wasn't Leo. No, it was Michal Martin. I was like, what's it? I didn't just do turns of like, okay, Michal, Leo. All right. I don't even remember
there being like a whole thing of like, come out and vote or whatever.
I knew it was Leo. The only reason I knew it was Leo because of every Friday during the pandemic, I waited for him to tell me how far can I go away from my house. Is it 5 years or is it 20 years? Then I remember his face. Then when it was Michal Martin, till this day I don't know what Michal Martin looked like.
Did he not come on TV though?
All the time.
Do you know, after a while, I got tired of them telling me where I can or cannot go, so I stopped watching them.
Bro,
I don't care anymore, man.
Is the thing, yeah? You should have just been like me, I just went anyways.
Do you have aspirations of being a politician?
Me, I'm asked that every now and again. How I put it is that my heart is with the community. So as you can see through my involvement with Black and Irish, I just care for seeing what I can do to advance things for the community. And if God says the best vehicle for me to do that is politics, then I'm going to resort to that. But as of now, I have no thoughts whatsoever about politics being the best vehicle. There's a lot that's actually quite off-putting about getting involved in politics. So
like what though?
You know, you sound like a politician.
People say that
even how you're sitting with a notebook. Bro has a notebook.
The truth is complex. You know, so what puts me off politics? The lying and deceit, for example. I think it's indisputable that some politicians on election time, they need to try and lie to people to get votes. And I think if you are a liar in one context, when you go to another context of your life, when you're with your wife and kids or your family, that habit just doesn't leave you. It's not like, okay, now I'm in red, not in blue anymore. Now I'm a truth teller. So those things can put me off politics. And right now I just have some of the people that I look up to most, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, they weren't politicians. And if they were, they would have been limited in their change-making capacity. So if there's many other ways to try and leave a positive impact on your community.
No, I 100% hear that because I'm not like into politics, but I hear on other podcasts, like sometimes like the culture war. If those who influence culture have just as big as the impact, or even more than politicians.
Bob Marley, Fela Kuti, Tupac Shakur.
And that's what like Obama was like, he was cool. He was shooting trees and saying that's what I do. He was a cool, like rappers loved him, so the culture loved him. So then he shifted that, and the reverse for that is like, on the other side, the culture loved Trump the other way. Like, there's a certain demographic that he appealed to culturally. So the Titan, like Hillary, she's speaking proper, speak correctly, but she wasn't connecting with the culture as well as she could have. But
she tried.
I know she tried.
She went on Breakfast Club and tried.
But it wasn't authentic. Trump was like, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to say, and my people, they liked it. Even though we disagree with it.
I also want to say that Obama kind of fucked it up for everybody because now everyone is trying to be liked like he was. Where it's like, bro, do your job.
I heard on 90s Baby Studio, like, because you were so cool, politicians started looking at this as like a job, like, oh, I can validation it rather than like I'm serving the people. Like you're saying.
But you're like, how can you be like a minister for transport and not use transport?
And not actually have like
the
boss or
this guy said, "Where's your leaf card? Show me your leaf card right now." This guy's so silly.
No, because think about it this way, right? How can you best serve me if you don't even know what's happening?
But there was a guy ages ago when I was in school. What was his name? Something Roger Green. His name was Green. He used to have a fold-up bike.
Yeah,
a fold-up bike. Oh, it was for the Green Party.
No,
so because it was for the Green Party, instead of using the car or whatever, he'll get on the train with his fold-up bike, unfold his bike, and cycle.
See, live by your reps.
There we go. Like, makes sense. That's a good example.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The minister for transport should only be using public transport
in this country.
No, but they used it when they were young.
No. Use it now. Because when you were young, you didn't have to get to work at 9 a.m.
See, that's why I couldn't do politics. Because people expect me to live by these ridiculous standards.
Bro,
I have to go to flipping Lucan.
Yeah, but if I go to Blanche and I need to get to the airport, I have to go to town to get to somewhere that's 15 minutes away. Yeah. You don't know that struggle because you have a private car.
So you want them to feel the inconvenience so that they can make the change.
Because once they feel the inconvenience, then they'll know, oh shit, this is wrong. Let me fix it. But if you're getting driven around in a nice 2023 E-Class. You don't know my struggles.
But wait, if it's electric, I'm helping to.
Helping the environment.
But yeah, no, but because that's genuinely that's what I think, because it's kind of like, how can you make change if you're so disconnected?
Would you say there are other ways to be connected? So maybe it might not be authentic experience, it might be connection to people who are actually living in that struggle, and that might feed into, say, the decisions that you make. Because that's to a certain extent how democracy is. If there's white politicians in Ireland who are expected to represent a diverse nation, they won't truly know what it's like to be Asian Irish, Black and Irish, because they have constituents who feed feedback to them. They'll understand in one way or another.
But what you're saying is, in theory, it is right. But I feel like they don't accept. They only back to the bubble of the cool people or the cool kids club. You feel like you're getting on an authentic. Okay, let me put it this way, right? So people have a problem with Black and Irish because it feels like you're only ever getting one specific group's point of view. So this person that's in government thinks that they're talking to. So they might, like, just because you're Black doesn't mean that you're part of the culture. Yeah, just because you're Black doesn't mean that you're part of the culture. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So that Black person you're talking to doesn't represent me. Do you get what I'm saying? So I can get what you're saying in that play, and in theory it does work. But are they going to the right people to get the information of what is really going on?
Okay, so is this a Black and Irish question?
No. I use Black and Irish because it's easy. It's easier to as an example than the whole government in terms of things. You get what I'm saying? Because like, I use Minister of Transport because the transport in Ireland is so shit. If the people that you're talking to are people that maybe only go to town and they don't have to go from Navan to Dublin or from Louth to whatever, and they don't understand the struggle of, I'm standing here for an hour and this bus didn't come. There's no sign, there's no nothing that's telling me this bus isn't coming, the bus just didn't come, and I have somewhere to be. You don't understand that struggle, and the person that you're talking to also doesn't understand that struggle, and you don't know that I'm on 3 strikes at work, and if I'm late one more time, they go fire me.
So
leave earlier.
Maybe you can address the political point and the Black and Irish point, and then I'd love to get everyone's thoughts then. So on the political point, I do agree with you completely. I just added fuel to the fire to kind of inflame the conversation. I think that's the flaw of democracy. A lot of people talk about the need for more representation in Parliament so that a working class experience can be heard in Parliament, because a lot of people say now who are dealing with the housing crisis, say a lot of politicians are landlords, so how are they supposed to experience the hardship of eviction and the hardship that comes with not being able to afford the rent? So I think a more inclusive politics is needed in Ireland. Insofar as Black and Irish is concerned, you said that there might be a perception that it's a cool kids club. Sorry. Alliterations can have me funny, but a cool kids club, and people might go to Black and Irish expecting that to be a how would I put it, a tunnel towards the collective Black experience. But Black and Irish fundamentally is a network. That's what it aims to achieve, a network structure that allows for different Black and Irish people to come together in order for talents, successes, and stories related to the hardship of Black and Irish people to be projected upon the Irish, you could say, image. It's like a trampoline for people within the community, rather than it being a conglomerate of 5 cool kids who flaunt and show their talents and skills and claim to be representative of the entire Black mass in Ireland. It's supposed to be a mirror upon which the reflection of the brilliance of the Black community in Ireland is projected. It was started as a social media account, as everybody knows. They're just shared stories. That's all it was about. And now we said, look, there's gaps in Irish life that we can fill. There are lives that we can improve. So how can we formalize our structure and see how we can leave an impact? And it's a baby. It's growing. And it's up to us as Black people in Ireland to see what we can do to amplify it. If you guys know, yourself, you guys know the older generation of Black people, man, coming from Africa, it's just tribal politics. Tribal politics. Nobody can look eye to eye because there's always division and tribalism. We have an opportunity to actually cultivate unity for ourselves and build something that's bigger for ourselves and can improve the lives of future generations. So I think we should galvanize this moment and see.
No, I like everything you're saying is like, I understand and I agree with you, because that was my perception of what Black and Irish was as a platform to help promote the Black and Irish people, like essentially what you said. But the more I'm seeing it, the more I'm seeing that's not how people view Black and Irish. Like the other day, someone said to me, it was like, you guys are, the things I've heard is like, they act like as if they're what you call gatekeepers in Ireland, or a Black and Irish have the monopoly. In my brain, I'm like, I didn't think that's how you people, like that's how it was viewed, but then I realized like it grew arms and legs. What you guys intended it to be to what people perceive it to be now is completely different. And it's like my friends would tell me, it's like, yeah, then the marketing of what it is should be advertised even more, because how I view it, it's like There's Black and Irish creatives, Black and Irish people that are doing cool stuff within our community. Let's help them, let's promote them, and if they come to us, we can help them. That's how I saw it. But talking after Leon came on the podcast and he explained it to himself, I was like, yeah, that's kind of how I saw it. But then people are saying like, this guy is acting like he's the gatekeeper for Black and Irish community. People are acting like there's a monopoly. And I was like, oh, I guess there's different perception of how these things is viewed.
Something that was funny about the Leon episode, which was a great episode. I think we enjoyed it, we watched it, was that Leon was out of touch with some of these criticisms, not because he wasn't trying to be in touch, but because people weren't approaching him and getting in touch with him to speak to him person to person as a human being. And I think back to the idea of us being Black people who have tried to build positive things in the past, but who have run into brick walls. If you look at our history as African people, there are great African leaders who tried to build African nations, but it wasn't just the white power structure that saw them fail. Sometimes there was people within our own community who, instead of trying to see what we can do to chip in, to try and push the ball forward, worked against positive movements. And we intend for Black and Irish to be our baby that we can build, that we can see grow, that we can help improve. And we can only have that happen if we chime in and if we contribute our own insights and criticisms, but also positive feedback so that it can get better. So let's do that. Let's have a more productive...
It's part of the reason as well why we're holding this event, so that like it's not just like how people may see just a club.
Yeah,
to have the community, people from other areas to come into the one place and talk about their opinions, say how they feel about the Black community, and then bring all this together so that it's not just like you're only hearing from one person, but you're hearing from the whole community as a whole. You know?
Like the thing is, like, once again, in theory, I understand it, and I don't think it is. Like I said, I always say I feel like it's a losing battle. There's no way you win. You can't please everybody. There's no way you're gonna win, because there's like, even with politics, right? As much as it is, everybody has a voice, everybody can vote, everybody can do this. Do you get what I'm saying? It still feels like very much like it's us versus them. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, yeah, cool. You're gonna host a open day where you could come and you could talk to the politicians and everything. But it still feels like it's very much like I don't know if I'm invited to that place. And you know, like some people with our egos and how everything goes, it's kind of like, because I know they don't want me there, I'm not even gonna go. Fuck them. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's kind of like, once again, with a name like Black and Irish, you've indirectly put a target on your back. Yeah, do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm just over the opinion, like I'm actually tired of even talking about it. Like it's not going to change.
Yeah,
in terms of like the people, some of the people that are complaining aren't going to change anything about it, because it's like, I feel like Black people, we just kind of, we have this acceptance mentality. Like, you know why people complain? Yeah, white people love a complaint.
Yeah, Karens. That's what they Karen. That's what happened. Yeah,
but Black people, we just kind of take it. We just say that it's shit. It is what it is, and we push on. It kind of is because
instead of voicing out. Yeah,
do you get what I mean? And I feel like because we voiced for so long, it's like nothing's changed, or something changed after forever and a day. It's just kind of like we just fuck it, man. It is what it is. Like, you're in there to help me anyways. Just push on, like.
Yeah, I understand. I completely understand what you mean, and it's actually a widespread feeling. Let's say when it comes to democracy, what's the point in voting when nothing's going to really change? My vote is only one vote.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. I'm very sympathetic to that, and I've spoke to a lot of people in the Black community who have that feeling, and that's why we're trying to push this event. But before we get to the event, just on the Black and Irish point, I think it's of the almost like Black and Irish. You said as soon as you call yourself Black and Irish, you have a target on your back. Well, what do we mean by Black and Irish? After George Floyd died, when everybody was saying racism only existed in America, we said no, Black and Irish people can experience racism too. Even the idea of being Black and Irish wasn't popular in the Irish cultural hemisphere.
Yeah,
people
until Cello made Dublin. They're like, oh, we love Black and Irish
Dublin. and not only Cello and Dublin, lots of cultural developments that happen in music, culture, fashion, and also through Black and Irish as well. So we have introduced a movement. It's like a revolutionary moment, like a renaissance, and Black and Irish hopes to spur that and put that forward. So we have to just see it as a collective bubble that we can all be involved with. I'm from Longford Town, so a lot of the criticisms that you said people had for Leon, I don't hear that where I come from. I don't know if you hear that in Offaly. I don't hear that in Galway either. So we have to remember that when you're talking about the bubble, sometimes the criticisms might come within a bubble themselves. So the Black Irish community is not homogeneous. You know, it's not unidimensional. We span the country, and Black and Irish hopes to serve the community. So let's ensure this isn't just a moment where 10 years from now, when we have or 20 years, we have our kids and we say, once upon a time, we had a very good movement that was trying to do something good for us, but we just didn't support it as much as we should have. Kids, make sure you don't make that error. Because that's the conversation my mom has had with me and many African parents have with us about building up and uniting. Let's try and see what we can do to make this better and make this last and stand the test of time for us as a community, because it's for us as a community.
But I think outside of Dublin, the criticism on Black and Irish outside of Dublin it feels like it's Black and Dublin.
Black and Dublin.
And that's because a lot of people on the team are based in Dublin. And you have to remember, guys, 3 years ago, this is just a social media account. Leon didn't have to say, this is the like curse of the innovator. If you're going to say, I'm going to be a disruptor and step into this marketplace or in this sector and trying to do something positive, I'm going to face a lot of unprecedented challenges. So Leon is facing that, and everyone in the team is facing that. So we have to be willing to take that on. But as a community, we have to know the difference between worthy and deserving criticism because of mistakes made by the organization and criticism that naturally comes from being the first. And because this is the first not only for people in the team, it's our first, we have to see what we can do to shoulder some of this criticism and improve it as a collective so that we can get better. Yeah. Because I don't know if you guys, African history, Thomas Sankara, leader of Burkina Faso, tried to improve the country. France killed him, and he was also betrayed by the black right-hand man who was supposed to work to build the country together. Congo, Patrice Lumumba, first ever prime minister, he was killed by Belgium, but also by his black right-hand man who was supposed to build the group. Black Panther movement, Fred Hampton, informant, black man who acted like he was in the organization. He also cooperated with the FBI, led to that being destabilized. Let's not have that happen for us. Let's learn from our history and see about how we can make this better.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's just like, again, but that was the perception that what you're saying is my perception of Black Nash initially, but then I started realizing people have different opinions of it. Sorry, I just lost my point just there. Ah, crap, I lost
I will say as well, I think that it was discussed when Leon came on, and it's the perception because of like what we actually put on social media of like what we're doing, and it's not like everything that we're doing like with like schools and businesses and like trying to go and like work with other community organization, everything like that. Like that's not what people are seeing like through social media and stuff. Like I can imagine like the Black and Irish account right now is like premieres, tickets and stuff like that. So
send me an invite,
movies are coming out soon. I need to go to a few premieres. I'm a cool kid too.
You're invited, lads. You're invited to the event that we have planned for July 15th. So all of the criticism, a lot of them are very fair, by the way. I know I'm focusing on one side of things, negative attributes of some of the criticism, but Melissa talked about what we actually display. Yeah. We're in schools every second week giving talks. We're talking to corporations as much as we can about racism. We get no money as individuals. We're students and full-time employees. So we're trying to balance volunteer work for the community. So this event, anyways, we're doing July 15th. Munachi, I don't know if you want to explain it. I want to ensure your voice is as heard as possible because the event is about having people let their voice be heard.
So it's July 15th. It's called Finding Your Voice. So there'll be different topics about different like social problems that are going on in society, especially in the Black community. So we want everybody to just come there to express how they feel. There'll also be topics on how you want Black and Irish to improve, things such as housing, education, everything. So everybody, it would be great if you can all turn out. And don't ever feel like people always complain behind the scenes in their house, with their parents, with their family, exactly, in silence. But don't let it be in silence. Actually come out and express it, because people outside of our community, they want us to be put down. They don't want us to rise up. So everything is always better if we like come as a collective. We're stronger, and our voices will be like better heard to the people that can actually make a difference. So hope you guys are there as well.
Yeah, what inspired this though? Like, what was the top person? Like, you know what, we also need this one. Like, if we're saying earlier, it's cool to have the premieres and to have the Black and Irish Awards. And again, what I was about to say earlier is that some people also just have a rebellious spirit. They just don't be like, you're not gonna speak for me. And sometimes because they're not seeing themselves at the premiere, it's like, so they're just rebel anyway. So there's a lot of things that like you can address the criticism, but some people in their spirit are just gonna be like, you mans are not speaking for me. But back to that, it's like, yeah, why did you guys decide to like, you know what, let's actually address these issues as well within our culture?
Well, as well, because touch on the one side of people's views of Black and Irish, and they think nothing's really done. So I actually wanted to have everybody's opinions heard and do something that's actually going to make a difference, that can have an impact, and people in society can see, okay, Black and Irish are actually making a move for the community and not just doing all these little side things as well. And also as well, because there's so many issues rising, like it's better to like start addressing them now. We don't want anyone to be like feel quiet and silenced anymore. We just want people to like have their say and have their opinion. But how do you think it is?
Yeah, I think Melissa, would you like to chime in?
Yeah, no, I would like to just like say, like following on what Muna said as well, is like it's like one of the first times that we're doing this is like we're getting people from the community to come and express their views and opinions on like social problems. Like that will then feed into like a 10-point plan, and we're going to actually bring it up to the politicians and just be like, look, this is the voices from the community, and this is why we're saying that, like, we want your voice, like, we want you to come to us now at this event and like speak on these social problems. And also as well, like, I know, so, like, because it's going to be based in Dublin, like, and then like some people might not be able to come or like away or something like that, so we're also doing a survey as well, so we're trying to capture as many voices as possible to on these social problems, which Eric, you could go through what they are. But yeah,
so but what kind of problems are you hoping to address then on the day for people that are listening?
Five issues. So housing, health, education, culture, and then the future of Ireland. So people are going to have conversations about these 5 respective areas. We're going to be taking down the contributions of people, and as Melissa so eloquently said, we're going to put that in a 10-point plan, 10-point list of demands. We're going to give that to politicians and say, this is what this group of Black and Irish people who came together on this day say they want to see change in these 5 areas. Change them, because sometimes when it comes to political discourse, Black people are only called when it's time to talk about racism and discrimination. Then when the racism conversation is gone, it's like, okay, the big boys, you come in, Black people, you just get out of it. Now when the big boy, cost of living crisis, homelessness, it's time for us people who are privy to these conversations to talk, but you minority groups aren't. So then we're told to evacuate the premises. We're here to say that we're here to stay when it comes to the more serious issues. So secondly, another very important thing is that Black people at times in Ireland, from my experience, sometimes I don't like saying Black people too often as a collective term, because it's such a diverse group of people. You have Nigerian people, you have West African, East African people, North African people, Caribbean people. But in my experience with many Black people, when I talk to them about politics and I label the conversation as a political one, it's like, nah, I don't contribute. But when it's something again, but speaking to me all this time. But the thing is, the points you both raised early in this podcast about representation and democracy, those represent some of the most pressing political and philosophical discussions being had in the political sphere, generally speaking. What you said was deeply political, so you have the capacity to have political conversations. It's just that when we label it as politics, then Black people are like, I can't do that. Boring. So this is not going to be like a political nerd conference.
I blame my dad. Because he used to have all these political conversations with his friends in the sitting room. They're just shouting about African politics. And that sounds dead, man. I don't want to listen to that. I don't want to be that. They're just watching the news. I'm like, it's kind of boring, man.
That's very important as well. And the trauma as well that comes with African politics. A lot of people distance themselves from that word because it's associated with the hardship that had their parents leave their motherland in the first place.
Yeah, that's true.
But here we're going to have we're trying to achieve like a barbershop style discussion. It's going to be very informal. There's going to be nice food there. Hopefully we can have some traditional food there. There's going to be music at the event as well. Some nice speakers there too. It's going to be very informal. And we're going to just create a space where people feel comfortable to contribute. And you don't feel as if you have to be an expert. So it's not going to be housing. Tell us about the recent stats related to the census or anything like that. What's your experience with housing like in Ireland? You talked about your struggles with housing. What's it been like? And we're going to take that down and then give it to politicians. So
it's
first of its kind of
it's expensive, and the information isn't like as easy as accessible as you'd want to think. Because I went through the process, and you're finding out things as you're going along, and you're like, man, if I knew this 3 months ago, it could have like sped up the process. Or if I did this, like one thing, for example, is like, you need this certain amount of deposit. I had the money saved, it was ready, so when it's time to go, like, man, here's the deposit. They said, no, we need to see a 6 months steady income into a bank account. You're putting that money in, and that money is being withdrawn. So it delayed me 6 months, despite having the money ready to go then and there, not knowing that like I need to show consistent 6 months of me putting money away to show that I'm consistent. Like little things like that took half a year just then to start the process. But that information, you don't have it because you don't have anybody here. We're like first generation to go through all of these problems, so we don't have the information. So these kind of events, it's good for that. Like people are gonna come and like, I know Fiona as well has been on the pod. She works with you guys, Black and Irish. Similar situation. She was going through process, going through steps, not realizing, I'm still gonna have to spend money here. I'm gonna spend money here, and that information just isn't as accessible as you'd want it to be when you're starting.
And I think even apart from like buying houses, I think just like renting, because like there's so many people that I know that are working full-time jobs that are more than the average wage in Ireland. And for me, I don't want to live with people, because my last time living with the counterparts, they kicked me out of my house.
Crazy. Don't mind that. I'll keep that.
What is true?
I know You told the story.
Yeah. So what's called? I got kicked out of my house for no reason. So I kind of don't want to live with counterparts anymore. And I just, you know what? No, fuck that. I just don't want to live with anybody. I actually want to live by myself and have that experience of living by myself. But it's kind of like either I'm gonna have to move so far away from Dublin that doesn't make sense because I'm in Dublin 2-3 times, sometimes even 5 times a week. That it doesn't make sense for me to live so far out when I live far out enough now that it just doesn't, like, it wouldn't make sense for me to live from being far out to being far out and still paying a lot of shit. And then it's like I want to live somewhere, but then I want to live somewhere that's nice as well, because I can go pay 1,500 for a studio apartment, but I can do this and touch both sides of the apartment. Do you get what I'm saying? You wake up and you get burnt by your stove. Like, what's that?
Convenient. You can make breakfast in bed.
Fam, you know your light bill will be cheap. But like, do you get what I'm saying? And it's kind of like how is it as young professionals that make more money than the average person, and we don't have dependents, but we also can't afford to have a nice apartment somewhere even close to town that's popping. Do you get what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah, no, even to piggyback off that, like, we all come from like African households where you're like, go to school, get your money, then you have your independence. You're like, you know what? Yeah, mom, I'll do that. You go to school, then you get the job, you're like, I'm still living with y'all for I can't move. Where is this independence? Obviously, like, parents loosen up as you get older and they get less strict. But you're kind of like attached to the idea, is like, once I start making money, I'm going to leave my parents' house and be able to live my life. Doesn't seem as possible these days, you know? So, like, I'm looking forward to that. Again, I'm older, so like, the education part might not really benefit me or affect me, but the housing thing, even though I have a house, I'm like, it's difficult, even for my friends going through the same process now.
Difficult, and we're going to get that in the 10-point plan. That's the hope. And on top of that, we're going to do a report. So Melissa said, because everyone can't come to this event, it's limited. It's in the Irish Immigration Museum, so we can't have the whole community there. So we're going to put out a community-wide survey that everyone can participate in. And then the results of that survey we're going to put into a report, especially because if we have a 10-point list of demands, it'll capture demands that are a rough summary of what everyone contributed, but it's not going to capture the nuances of the conversations had. So a report can be more expansive in terms of what it can encompass. Yeah. And we're going to put that out to the country as well to say, these are the opinions of people. Keep it real, bro. I can read your mind.
Because I'm going to come across as a hater, but like,
no,
bro,
not at all,
bro. Nobody cares about a 10-point plan, bro.
No, yeah, but you see the politicians.
Yeah, I'm speaking especially about them. They will take a 10-point plan and say, "Yeah, we're about to do something with this." You know, like back in the day, you go put your CV, and then when you leave, they put the CV in the bin, bro. Because you know what it feels like. It feels like people are constantly shouting about there's something wrong, and they constantly say that, "Yeah, we're working on it," and it never gets worked on. And bro, you know what it is, yeah. The French are the smart people, man. You have to write it.
You have to what?
You have to write it. No,
actually, as a politician, do you see how the French? That was a political podcast. Do you see how the French, if you raise the price of bread, they're going outside?
You have to.
Is that what we need to do here as well? Do we need to be like, you know what, 10-point plan, right into the politics? F all of that. We're going outside to the dog.
Because I'm not afraid of your 10-point plan, but I'm afraid that my car might get blown up. Now I'm gonna do something about it.
The French overdo it though. Every day.
But see, it has to start somewhere. You have to have something presented to them so that they can be like, okay, these guys have expressed something. Then if there's no change continuing to happen again,
then
at least, yeah.
But okay, wait. The reason why I said that is because the same issues that we were dealing with 5 years ago, 10 years ago, are still the same issues that we're dealing with now. And if it wasn't for us Black and Irish people changing it, us changing it for ourselves, not them changing it for us. So what have they done? So now coming with a new 10-point plan, there's been a 10-point plan before. There has been another plan before. What is gonna make your 10-point plan different from the same amount of people that have been shouting about these same things?
What is different about this one that people have talked about housing, they've talked about education, but now you're presented with a new point? And I hear what you're saying. Like, we can say, oh, nothing's not going to happen, but we still have to do something about it. Because imagine now we have kids and our kids are looking at us like, this problem's happening 20 years ago and you guys didn't even make a 10-point plan.
Yeah,
you could have made a presentation. You couldn't even do that. That's how kids are looking at us. Small 10-point plan you could make. But so that's a good question. Yeah. What is the difference about this 10-point plan that we're starting from?
Great question. No, I really value the question. And I value the authentic nature of your podcast as well.
We're not political. You did a politically correct podcast. We are not politically correct guys over here.
No, political incorrectors. That's the name of the podcast. Okay. So we're trying to achieve a similar goal, but This is a great question. So I say the difference between this 10-point plan. Firstly, 10-point plan. You said that there's been many in the past. There's been many community organizations within their specific sectors who have tried to advocate for rights of people within that sector. So there's a movement of asylum seekers in Ireland organization who do phenomenal work to advocate for people in direct provision. For example, Black and Irish, who try to address some issues pertaining to people in direct provision, but also a more expansive, broad view is what we're trying to encompass. So to target the experiences of as many Black and Irish people as possible. And we have now a national platform. So upon that trampoline that I referred to earlier, we hope to take this 10-point plan and then balloon it, rock it into the political sphere. Number one. Number two, you talked about rioting. And the premise there is that when you riot, you give politicians a problem.
Yeah.
And they have a problem, they're forced to change. But politicians are politicians, which means that they're elected representatives who get paid because they're elected representatives. And in a democracy, what gets them paid is the fact that they're voted for at election time. So they have to appease the people who are going to give them the votes to get elected to make their money. It's a very blunt and crude way of seeing it. We as Black people aren't as registered to vote as we should be right now. This event is going to show us that we have a right to chime into these conversations. And once our paradigm shifts, maybe then we'll say, now we can register to vote and see what we can do to try and change the political structure of this country. Because I think Black people, sometimes we feel like we don't have a stake in Irish politics. We're detached from Irish politics. What's the point? But once we see our power in a conversational sense to chime in on these mainstream conversations, then we might be encouraged to try and register to vote and see what we can do to address these mainstream issues. And then the politicians have something to be scared about because they know they have to appease to these Black people, or else I might not win. In America, the Black vote, they say the Black vote. Biden has to win the Black vote.
Yes, but we're 1%.
Yeah, no, and number one. Number two, I don't endorse the idea of a Black vote in an Irish context. I think, again, it assumes that there's homogeneity amongst Black people, and we don't make up the majority of the population. But look how the politicians are addressing, say, the refugee crisis right now with regards to Ukraine and Russia. They're being very human rights centered and being very sympathetic, as they should be. But this comes not from the fact that the Ukrainians are the minority, but it comes from a cultural pressure that's being put upon the politicians by allies of Ukrainian people. I'd be one of them, but also by Europe to take action. So we have a lot to draw from as Black people to say, you're trying to appease minorities as you should be. In this case, Europe says you should need to be more equality-based and human rights centered, and on top of that, we're involved. So see what you can do to change the issues that have got us involved in the first place.
I'm just gonna seem like a hater this whole podcast. It's cool. Conversations are cool, but conversations are just conversations at the end of the day.
That's the 10-point plan. 10-point plan. We're gonna crystallize the conversation. We're gonna put it in the form of a feasible, tangible plan that all of us as Black people can refer to. At election time, we might say, well, council election, this guy's saying he's running on these issues. What issues concern me as a Black person? Oh, Black and Irish put out a 10-point plan. Let me see what's in that plan. Those issues actually affect me. Maybe I'm only going to vote for people that say they're going to make the changes that I see in the plan. It's going to increase our political consciousness. And it's a first step.
Let me ask you this then.
It's not a silver
Have you seen this in not a 10-point plan? Similarly, I get what you're saying. 10-point plan holds them accountable because you've promised me as a Black person, you promised me, let's say, affordable housing. Now I want to see it. You promised me this last time. You haven't done it for me. Let me take my vote somewhere else. But because there's someone in writing that we can hold them to it. I understand that. But have you ever actually seen this materialize where politicians are like, you know what, when I'm in office, these issues are gonna be addressed, and they actually address them? Because I think that's like Deji's pushback is like, yeah, you can say it, yeah, we can have it on paper, but when it comes to actually pulling it into action, does it really happen? Like, have you seen it with a plan materialize?
So in the past?
Yeah, or here, just in politics in general, because I think I would be of the same mindset of like, yeah, people will talk, the politicians will lie, they will say, oh, I carry hot sauce in my bag. They'll say anything. Like, they'll say anything to get to vote. Yeah. They're in office, all of a sudden, was like, yo, wait, did your one not say affordable housing? Again, 4 years later, run the same thing. So have you ever seen a plan presented, then it's like, you know what, when I'm in office, these issues will be addressed, and then it was
America is the best example. So there are lobby groups for particular communities in America that work to try and push American politicians to make changes. And this is something that many Black activists in the African-American history, in the history of African-American community, have referred to. Malcolm X talked about when you look at particular European, Irish Americans, for example. They've had such a massive sway in America because they organized, they see what they could do to identify their issues and to push politicians to address those issues. And they recognize the political power was in the vote. It's nested in your ability to vote. That was used to try and bring about political changes. So many other communities have recognized this and have taken action upon this basis. we're slow to it because of many disadvantages that we face.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that we've been disenfranchised in a particular way, and that's impacted our perception. But we're trying to change our perception, change our paradigm, get us involved, and allow us to realize our change-making capacity. And events like this may be baby steps ultimately, but they're a step. And we're talking. Look, tell me, of all the podcast episodes you've done, when have you had a conversation this political about changing the community?
Probably with
If we don't slap politics on it, pretty often actually, I think.
Okay.
Because we talk about houses.
That point, talking point of the house, education, not really. Cost of living.
About taking tangible steps of the type that we're talking about, concerning the Black Irish community.
Because as a community, maybe not as a community, as maybe Dage and I on this podcast, sometimes we think like, I don't really care about us like
they
that.
Don't want to hear that.
Yeah. No, like even like we could talk about it. Like, are they willing to make that change? Or, again, we don't know the necessary steps. We don't know you can run an event and have a 10-point plan and present it to them. Let's also give them the benefit of the doubt. If they're not being presented with any plans or any complaints, why would they make a change? Like the podcast we recorded first today, I told the listeners like, yo, tell us what we need to do, what you like to listen to, what's different, or else we won't feel the need to make a change. So although Dage sometimes says things, I get what he's saying. Is like saying like, what's the point of a 10-point plan? But again, we all live within our bubbles. If people in politics have never seen a 10-point plan, they don't feel like, oh, you guys are grand there. You're not complaining. You're not speaking up. You must be grand over there. Now they might see a 10-point plan and be like, all right, let's address this. But if they don't, at least we can hold them accountable to it. Be like, you guys say you're gonna address this.
Because no, you know what it is, when I look at politics and I look at politicians and stuff, and like realistically, it is just high level manipulation. Because they will take your 10-point plan. And have you ever met someone that they have mastered the art of telling you nothing but making you feel like they've told you their whole life, and that's what politicians do,
like
right?
Nigerian men, they say. You're a bad man. That's what they say. That's what you're talking about. You're a bad man.
Look, I do not know which you're talking about. But yeah, they'll take the whole 10-point plan, and they'll go through it, and they'll go to the one that is the least important, or it doesn't really like. Okay, so it's like, okay, we need to get paid more, and then your boss comes in. You guys get pizza every Friday. Everyone is happy. Nobody's now talking about getting paid more. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's what it feels like they're constantly doing. So when I say like nobody cares about a 10-point plan, it's because it's like they'll take this 10-point plan, they'll use it to get reelected, and then they'll give you a tiny piece of what you want, and then everybody all of a sudden forgets about everything that was really going on until something breaks again, and then we have to go now it's another 10-point plan. And do you get what I'm saying? And it just feels like it almost feels hopeless, and especially it feels hopeless because when it's like when it comes to the pecking order, it's like white people, pets, black people. Like, bro, white people love their dogs, bro. they love their dogs, bro.
You're saying there, yeah. It's taken out of the politics part of it. We also just want to create the Black community presence to be bigger, because I feel like they don't actually see us as because you said 1%. So our presence isn't strong enough, and that's because we all continue to stay individual. We don't actually come as one. But when you come as one, your presence is just so much stronger that when you say something, they will have to listen. So you have to start somewhere that will make them listen. If you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, Black people wouldn't have come this far if we all continue to just say, oh, nothing's gonna change. Even though it's gonna take a long time, you always have to start somewhere and keep pushing them. So it's just better to push them if you come as a unit.
Look, this is the thing. I don't want it to come across like I'm trying to belittle whatever anybody's doing.
No,
Because the thing is, it is important to baby steps and to put that out there and try and everything. But it also almost feels hopeless. It almost feels like nothing gets changed until it affects them. And that's why I say the minister for transport. If you're not taking public transport, don't tell me about it, because you haven't lived that experience. Do you get what I'm saying? Also, if you are in charge of what's the Irish one, the HSC. Yeah. If you're in charge of the HSC, but you're not on public, what's called? If you're not on a what's that card called? On a medical card, don't chat to me, because you don't know. Bro, years ago, I had a cyst in my eye, right? The dentist, the GP said he would refer me somewhere and I'll get a letter. Bro, that was 2014. I haven't received that letter to this day. What if my eye fell out?
You follow up though. But I hear that, but sometimes you do have to that's just life admin. If you don't get, like at work, if I'm waiting for an email and that email doesn't come, I just follow up to the person.
Yeah, but
sometimes you have to understand it's in that specific instant, it's still humans doing their jobs.
No,
so they can forget to just send out a letter, and you have to be like, send me out a letter.
No, I understand that, like, it's following up and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, like, it feels like the way the system has been built is like you can't fix a problem that you're not aware of. And the thing is, the people that you're speaking about, if you're all on private healthcare,
not aware of or not impacted by,
better, not impacted by. Yeah. Like you know, it's like, have you guys worked in retail or like low level jobs or whatever? Like when you're there and then the higher ups tell you to do something, and it's like you've never worked here, you don't know that what you're asking me to do is absolutely fucking stupid. Do you get what I'm saying? But they're enforcing something that they don't have to live by. So for them, it's like, of course you have to do it this way, and you're talking to your customers like, look, I'm sorry, I know it's stupid, but it's just what the boss says, isn't it? And that's what it feels like. And it feels like until it impacts them, because like with work, once they see numbers drop and stuff like that, and they see profits are going down, now it's like, okay, hold on, this is affecting our bottom line. How do we fix it? And then it's like, this is what's wrong with it. That's what you need to do. But if it was someone that actually worked there, it's like, oh, that's easy. That's why that's wrong. You can't do that because it's stupid. You can't do this because it doesn't work like that. Do you get what I'm saying? And I feel like, yes, the lobbying and everything makes sense, but they just get to a point where, bro, let's riot, bro.
No, and just to piggyback off his point, the best part I could like relate to that is like what you're saying earlier about their landlords. They're also politicians. So everybody's crying out about rent, but it's beneficial to them. So then they have no motivation to fix the rent crisis because not only is it not impacting them, it's actually benefiting them. Because I'm a human being. I can imagine being in their shoes. Yes. No, that's
honestly,
real.
I wouldn't change it
real.
either.
It's like, yo, the system benefits me right now. I have 3 houses. I'm renting them for $2,000 each, extra $6,000 income. I have 3 kids in uni. Why on earth am I looking to fix the situation? So there is conflict of interest situation in certain like departments. We've seen it. Like I remember there was an actress in Desperate Housewives or something. Her kid, she helped her kid get into Harvard because she found ways the system benefited her. So she's like, why am I fixing the system? You know, that kind of way. So there is conflict of interest within the government. And so I don't know what can be done about
What's
it.
the best way that... Oh, go, Melissa, go.
No, I was going to add to that as well. Like one of the good ways as well that for this community and the 10-point plan is that we're not the only community out there that are like going to the government about these issues. So like we're adding to that. So we're adding to that conversation that's already being had by working class people being like the rent is crazy and everything like that. So what we're doing as well is we're adding to that, well, whatever outcome from the event, we're adding to that conversation. So we're making it bigger and stronger. So like the government has to hear the people, like, you know, because as Eric said, like the people are who elects the government.
Yeah.
So like I think there's, I don't know, the next election, they're going to be like, oh shit, like how am I? How am I? Okay, good. How am I going to get elected again? And they're going to be like, okay, what are the people saying? What are the people from different communities saying? And that we are now going to have that type of plan, being like, oh, so these are the issues from the Black community. These are the issues from that community and that community. And they're all actually the same. So this is actually
an issue to
everyone, kind of a
and
thing.
you talked about 1%. Well, what if you add 1% with another 1% with another 1% with another 1%? There are so many solidarity-based movements that can be galvanized and conceived from on the back of this 10-point plan, linking the Black Irish community with other communities to address bigger problems within this country. So this is the beginning of a movement. It's a revolutionary moment. There's a speech. So there's a speech from Malcolm X, an activist I look up to, called "The Ballot or the Bullet." In that speech, he talks to African Americans about how change needs to happen. Politicians need to feel the bite, the crunch, because we're not happy as Black people in America. It's either going to come from the ballot or it's going to come from the bullet. You talked about riots. That's the bullet. But also the alternative option within a democracy is the ballot. It's just that we haven't fully reached our potential in terms of utilizing that ballot yet. And until we get to a point where everybody's registered to vote, we're all voting, but nothing has changed. We don't even have a right to think of other alternatives. We have to work within the zone we're in to master and perfect this, because other communities that do this get what they want. They get an influence, they get a sway across the world. If you think of some of the most successful ethnic groups across the world, those groups, the common denominator is that they utilize political force to get changes that were in line with what the community wanted to see. we're still in our infancy as a community, in the Black Irish community here in Ireland. So let's see what we can do to dominate the political sphere as we're dominating culture and music and entertainment and arts. It's time for politics to have its sway as well. And once we do that, we're going to see positive impacts that are going to ripple across arts. More people are going to get opportunity, going to ripple across music, culture, entertainment, and music. The Black and Irish Awards, you referenced that earlier. The purpose, one of the fundamental purposes of that award ceremony was to give people in the community who have talent an opportunity to showcase that talent in a mainstream context, because the mainstream aren't giving us a look in.
Yeah.
If politics shifted, if politics shifted so that the structure of the nation changed, and then the mainstream started to recognize talent in our community, not that the Black and Irish Awards wouldn't be needed, but that fundamental purpose would be less fundamental. So we have to try and change the reality.
Hey, let me just, I know you're about to say, but let me plug in the quick intro before you say what you want to say. Let me introduce us on the podcast today. And we're here. We are Charge It to the Game. This is the podcast with the highest level of analysis the culture needs. I'm Uncle Jay, but you guys can call me Jordan. I'm here with...
You know, it's your girl's favorite voice, Big Dejan. Every time people love it.
Who here? Introduce yourself.
Melissa here from Black and Irish, the business coordinator.
Eric Ige, politics coordinator of Black and Irish, and from the greatest county in Longford, rather Ireland, Longford.
You.
That ain't it.
You can't say greatest county in Ireland and say Longford, doesn't it?
I know that's
this
is the first time Longford has probably been referenced in your podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
I used to go to Longford. Actually, what's called my friend's dad used to be a pastor in Longford, who used to be in Longford pretty much every Sunday.
Oh, bad.
It's so long.
And also, who we got?
Munachi Suribe, marketing associate for Umoja Lynn, and
Yeah, you're about to say something there before I.
Oh yeah, what's called? Everything you're saying is beautiful, yeah. But I feel like the fundamental problem is that the people on top don't care. Like, if it was somebody that cared about the people that they were representing,
yeah,
10-point plan works, all of those things work. But I actually don't think politicians care.
And again, I can't agree with that. It's like I know we're saying representation. One black person doesn't represent all black people, but it is good to have people in that room. Like, even though it's like, hey, you don't speak for me, but someone's like, you know what, I like yourself. I come from an immigrant family, and you can say like, look, I'm not speaking for all you guys, but I know what the experience is like because my parents came and I went through this system as a. So yeah, I do agree with that point. It's like the politicians right now might not care, and that's the benefits of like inclusivity and having people that look like you in those rooms or giving their voice or sharing their opinion. Again, someone's just gonna say, well, they don't speak for me, but I think it's still important. But we will get to like baby stuff. I think we will get to that stage. You'll see Eric there with them in like 5 years speaking for us. So we will get there.
No, because you know what it is, yeah. Like, because not that I'm a cynical person.
You are.
But, like, we need all paradigms and perspectives.
Okay, because if that was me, right? If I'm the prime minister or I'm whatever, right? And I'm a politician. I'm a high level manipulator, and I want to get elected again. And I don't really care about the people that I'm representing. I just, bro, I'm getting paid. Yeah. I get money for food. I get money for transport. I get money for everything I really need. And
I have 3 houses. They're paying for my retirement.
I'm the minister.
I know. It's on a human level. I can understand how a human with that power can manipulate the power.
You get what I'm saying?
On a human level,
I'm the minister of transport, but I don't take buses.
Let it go, man. Let it go.
Look, this is not my problem because I got a car. but like, so what I'm saying is, right, if I'm in that position, right, and you guys are giving me your 10-point plan and you guys are giving me all these kind of things, I would look at that, right, and I'll be like, come. And when it's time to get elected again, I'm going to show up to every single one of your places and I'm going to bring that same 10-point plan and I'll be like, yeah, we're working on it. Don't worry. I've got huge plans to do this. I've got huge plans to do this and to show you how much I do this and then give you something that means absolutely nothing.
And this is why Black and Irish is so important as a movement. Maybe 10 years ago, if that happened, whatever, what can you do? How do you hold them to account? Because we as black people aren't really seen in the public eye here in Ireland. Now we have a national organization that's going to hold these politicians to account in broad daylight to say, didn't you go all across the black community saying Tala or Blanche or in predominantly black places and say you're going to do this, and now you're in charge and you're not actually taking this action. Black and Irish now are there to fill the gap that wasn't there before. So a lot of pieces are now coming together for our community that weren't there previously. So it's all about building in these specific spaces.
Let me tell you how, for me as a politician in that situation, Black and Irish is the perfect people to use to manipulate everybody. Because now I don't need to go to all these places. I go to Black and Irish. I treat I treat the 5 top head people really well. I bring you guys in private cars. I bring you to the door.
We have to say yes.
We're not gonna say yes. And that's the thing. Yeah. You're going to say yes. This is the thing. But I'm not. But the thing is, I'm not saying you guys saying yes is bad on your part, because those are the places that you guys need to be. I will bring you to the place where you feel like you need to be, make you feel like you're welcome, and then make you tell everybody that follows you to fuck with me. But I'm manipulating. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if it was me in that position, that is exactly how I would do it.
I think because of your backbone is stronger than that. You're be too hard on yourself.
No, but the thing is, I'm talking about like people. Like let's not act like a lot of these people aren't doing these things for personal gain.
You know that, and I know, no doubt, and I know this even from a Nigerian context. One of the things that disgusts me the most about Nigerian politics is how you talked about the Minister for Transport, Traveling and Public Transport. The Minister for Housing in Nigeria has mansions in every continent but the country that he's supposed to be developing the housing system in. So I understand that, and human greed is a massive problem within politics. And we have to be 100% with the Black Lives Matter organization. I like to distinguish the movement from the organization. The movement was very positive for the world and for us, but with the organization, the founder, Patrice Cullors, was recently exposed that she had, I think, 5 properties in LA.
Giving her brother money and everything.
This is what you call, I forget, regulatory creep. When people allow for the high life to get to their head and derail their activist efforts. We are Black and Irish. We're all volunteers. We're all motivated to improve the community. If you see any step in the wrong direction as a community, hold people to account so that we can get it right. But to assume that the reason why what I said can't work is because people in Black and Irish are going to be wooed by the high life offered by politicians, I think it's a gross misrepresentation of what actually is happening and what can happen.
But I'm not talking about reality. I'm saying if this was me, if I was the prime minister in that point, because the thing is, like, we have seen it in, like, just before you named about 3 or 4 leaders that were pretty much taken out by
their own kind,
by the counterparts. Because, like,
and their kind.
Yeah, no. But what I'm saying is right. You see the way that, okay, like, let me put it in that context, right? Black and Irish, as the concept, is the president in that situation. Is the person that has good intentions and wants to take everyone to the right place and make things better, right? But then what I see is as a manipulator, as a person that is trying to get something from these people, right?
Prey on the weak.
What's called? You create distance.
Vision.
Do you get what I'm saying? You create
instead of going to Eric, you say,
you get what I'm saying?
Eric says no, they say, Leon, though, I can put you in a car.
Do you get what I'm saying?
All you gotta do is turn on him.
Like,
take him out.
And it really is just that
I understand what you're saying.
Because once I, like, it's slight on, I'm not saying that you, like, when I invite you to these places and I bring you to these places, you're not coming thinking that, oh my God, I've left those guys behind, I'm in the high life. No, it's not like that. I'm not gonna. That is stupid to let you know what I'm doing. I'm gonna bring you in and and this is the thing, right? People don't understand how easy it is to manipulate people. If I look you in your eyes and I tell you that I value you, I value everything that you're saying, and I'm taking what you're saying on point, and I'm gonna give you this, and I'm gonna give you this, and you come to me with a problem, and that problem might be only to you and your specific family. Like, let's say, oh, my brother needs to get here. Oh, your brother, I know someone there. Get him a scholarship. It doesn't help anything. It doesn't need anything. But now I've done something for you. And he's like, no, this person is looking for change. This person is trying to change for us. Now you go and you spread that to all of your followers, everybody. But really, in reality, all it took me to get all of those 10,000 votes was a scholarship. Was one phone call.
I get it. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I would say as well, how we're trying to operate, like, as our organization, is to, like, talk to the community and, like, let them know what's going on as well, and then actually get feedback from the community before we even go talk to them. Like, so it's not like it's not like the like politicians or whatever are just talking to, like, a few volunteers that are Black and Irish. Like, we're that's the purpose of the community event, is that we want the voices of the people. And we're just kind of like a funnel or tunnel to kind of like a vessel to reach the politicians as well.
Yeah, no, on this community event. Oh, sorry.
No.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Finish your point. No, I heard a pause and I thought you were finished.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Sorry. And, gosh, I actually lost
Sorry.
Before you try, just to add to what you're saying, Melissa, that's so important. I think the flow of the Black Lives Matter organization is that it was top down. So the people at the top said, we are the Black community. They said defund the police, for example, even though when polled, a lot of people in black communities in America, because of the fact that they're disproportionately represented in high crime neighborhoods, didn't want to see the police defunded. So there was a discrepancy between what the so-called advocates for the community were saying and what the community was actually saying, because they weren't rooted in the ground. Black and Irish is rooted in the soil. First of all, Ireland is too small for that not to be the case. If you're not rooted in the soil, you're going to be destroyed overnight. So the community is not going to allow you to exist. And secondly, there's genuinely good people in the community. You got to interview Leon. You're getting to chat to Melissa and myself. I'm actually vicariously involved by way of this event.
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think that's true.
In the Black and Irish?
I don't think Black and Irish is rooted in the like. There's I can easily count 20 people that would probably disagree with you.
We can have that conversation.
No, look, this is not even me on the side to you guys. Like I feel like from the point of view that you're at, it makes sense, and I can see that. Like, you know, it's that thing, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Yeah. I can see why you'd feel that way, but there's loads of people that would completely disagree. Like Dongo said, you guys don't come to Brooker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Where is Brooker? I'm from Longford, so
it's
Tala.
Yeah. It's just a part. It's just like council estate, part of where there's like a bunch of people doing whatever they're doing in it.
So they're doing good or bad things, or what do you mean?
Everything.
So okay.
No, okay, but what I mean is, like, you're not for the streets. Like, you're not for the culture. You're not for the streets. Like, there's some people that feel like you guys are them man, and we're us man.
Them man, us man. Okay.
But that's why, because now you're creating the divide.
I'm not trying to create.
No, I know. I see how the concept can happen, but like that's why it's important for if there's a divide, people on that side to come to events like these to express how they feel about it. Because people on the inside aren't hearing all these like so many opinions. So that's why
pushback is, why do they have to come to your events? They could also say like you people from this side have to come to the events they're having in their area.
Again,
you know?
bear in mind the fact this is a 3-year-old. So it's maybe a year and a half. Year old organization. Nobody's paid. Our sister organizations are organizations like the National Youth Council of Ireland. We're trying to collaborate with more Women for Election. These are an organization of which I'm on the board. These are well-established organizations, get funding. They're able to pay employees. Black and Irish is hoping to get there. Once we get there, we have the resources then to reach out into these communities. But if you don't have the means, you can't find a way. And we're trying our best to acquire the means so we can find a way. So I understand that this isn't known unless people come onto the podcast and communicate this to the community. But I'm trying to help people understand the state the organization is at, where we aim to be, and also the goals that we want to achieve. And also, you don't understand the people. I'm very critical of that idea of there being the people, the culture, as if for the African American communities, like this is the ghetto and this is black culture.
The industry, the scene,
We don't have an identity per se culturally as Black and Irish people yet, because it's so diverse and we're coming into our own. Black and Irish hopes to help us create a framework that's robust, so within that space we can freely create our identity without prejudice, discrimination, and the pushback that we faced until now. And getting rid of some of the barriers to the way of expressing ourselves.
Can I ask you guys a question? What type of ways would you want, like, people in the Black and Irish to come to the community? Like, how would you want it to happen?
Another thing is, like, I am big on giving people grace, because everybody's doing something within the first year or two, the first 6 months, like first 60 episodes. So I'm big on, like, sometimes I feel like the discourse or the criticisms that like the musicians get, that we get, the podcasters, or even Black and Irish, I feel like sometimes anyways I'm like, this is the first time we're having this kind of event. Let them build it up. Okay, in 2-3 years, even the Black and Irish event, the Black and Irish Awards, I'm saying, like, let them build it up. Let them learn how to get it right. In 4 or 5 years, if we're still seeing the same mistake, by all means, lean in. The same way that we do this podcast is that we're 1 year in now. We're making the same mistakes and we're going for it. By all means, lean in, because I want a certain level of grace given to me as I'm trying to grow here. So I try to give people the same grace. And when I hear some of the criticism, I'm like, do you know what? Despite being fair, let them get it right. In terms of what you're saying, is like, what kind of events do we want to, like, that's a good point, because you guys actually throwing events for people to come. This is what we're doing on this side. But then you tell them, well, what are they doing in Brooker that Black and Irish can go to?
Look, once again, this is not, like, I actually feel like you guys are in a losing battle. It's a lose-lose situation. Like, I don't think there is any way, like, because there's some people that are going to complain about,
They wouldn't come to us.
You guys won't come to us.
But they want
those are also the same people that won't go. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, and also this is.
They want Trinity to go to. They say you mans won't come to our ends. Okay, why do you like Black and Irish are inviting us to go to an event for a reason? Well, I can say like you guys don't come to Balbriggan and you come to the A92. But why am I? What's the reason for them to come just to come to Balbriggan?
Because I'm here and I'm Black and I'm Irish.
but if they said that, if they said come to our event because we're here, we're Black and we're Irish.
But look,
I get what you're saying. Like,
I'm not speaking about me. I sit in the middle and I understand both sides.
I see both sides too. Like I get it. It's like I get why you're like that's why I gave pushback. I'm saying like, oh, come to these events. At the pushback is like, why don't you come to our events? Also, but it is what is events.
Also, like, okay, to bring this to podcasting, right?
Let's go, fella.
We know that this episode isn't going to do views like that. And you know what? Because we're not talking about body counts.
Yeah.
So
no, we've seen the
so
clips. Like, we do clips like no artist in Ireland can perform well. That's what they love. If we do financial advice on a clip, we say, oh, this is how you buy a house in Ireland. They don't talk. Bro. But they'll complain. They say, oh, podcasters need to start talking about
as soon as someone says there's no bodies in Ireland,
it flies. But when we say, hey, buy it, this is how you go through the process of buying a house, they're not listening. So they're ignorant towards all this information, all this talk. But the same people then, were on the internet, they're shouting. So.
It's once again, so that's why I say, once again, lose-lose situation. And I feel like...
Can I just a slight... I'm very sympathetic to what you said. The slight correction that I'd offer is that those who are represented on the internet and those who are the loudest are a radical minority a lot of the time. I've just, for Africa Day, I was invited to go to Ennis to speak at an event for Africa Day on behalf of Black and Irish. Many Black people were there. Aunties coming up to me, uncles coming up to me saying, well done. It's great to see the work you guys are doing to improve the community. Older people in the community. University of Galway, I was supposed to speak at some events on behalf of Black and Irish. People say, we really value your work. Black people within the community saying, I didn't even know there was a concept of being Black and Irish before you guys came and introduced it. So a lot of people in our interactions have seen a lot of positive things being done. The criticisms are fair, without a shadow of a doubt. But this type of conglomerate you've identified who criticize but don't necessarily want to construct, who want to tear down but don't necessarily care to construct and build, that the revolution is not for everybody, and it never was for everybody. There was always a set of Black people in any positive Black movement that were there at the side, throwing pebbles and stones. Even now in Nigeria, there was an election there. There was an alternative force offered in Peter Obi. I'm not saying you have to support him. He's simply a political candidate. But the idea of a new paradigm and how we do our politics in Nigeria that represents people, a lot of people weren't for that because I'm part of PDP and APC and I'm getting paid and this corrupt system benefits me. So there's always going to be a set. Just because you're Black doesn't mean you're going to be for what's necessarily aiming to advance the community.
Yeah, the only pushback I'll give to you about that is that there is a specific group of people that show up to those events. So getting validation, or not validation, getting those things from those people, you're going to get those from those people because you're going to the places and all of those people are the same mindset and all of those people are the same whatever. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to hear from my boys because they're not going to that. Do you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
I get you.
Yeah, so just even on the internet points, like my awakening was like Brexit and Trump. What I was seeing on the internet, and when I woke up to see what actually happened, I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, because everyone was like,
there's no way Brexit's happening. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so the reality, what I perceive it to be on the circles I'm in, or the people I'm talking to, there's no way I would have thought that Brexit or Donald Trump becoming president was a thing. Mm-hmm. What's actually happening, people actually going outside to vote, and people actually not just on the internet typing, like Remain. Those are people actually making this. So there is an element of like, you'll get keyboard warriors, but then when you're like, even us, we'll have people that will never say anything to or comment about the pod, talk about the pod. We see them in person, it's like, oh man, I love your podcast, man. I listen to it every week. And you're like, you would have, just because it's not on the internet, it's not happening. Essentially, like, you know.
Individuality is important as well. Yeah. The Black community is made up of individuals at the end of the day. So not every single individual can be reached per se. Not every Black person holds the same opinion. Not every Black person cares for activism and politics, and that might not necessarily change. Not every Black person is going to care for Black and Irish or anything that's community centered. They might be individualistic to the core. All we're aiming to do is just improve the space that we exist in, whether you know of our work or not, so that you can get about your business in a better way. That's what we're aiming to do. And we're learning as we're going, trying to, in the manner of a sponge, absorb as much information as possible and do it more effective as time goes on.
I want to ask this also, just move away from there. Like, what are you guys doing then? Like, what are you aiming to do in terms of education? Because obviously I'm a bit removed from that. That housing situation maybe affects me more. Again, I'm directly impacted, so maybe I'm more curious, but probably have like people that are students or listening to this. So what are you guys aiming to do in terms of education?
Melissa, would you like to?
So actually, like last year or a year and a half ago, we did a kind of similar kind of well, sorry, it wasn't an event, but we did a focus group and a survey about introducing an inclusive curriculum, and we submitted a report from that. So we were speaking to multiple people from the community and like the survey. What's the organization? The National Curriculum.
NCCA.
NCCA.
The National Council of Curriculum. A.
Association. So we submitted that, and from that we actually where our education coordinator developed an anti-bias, anti-racism training that she's delivered to multiple school districts and the ETBs and everything like that as well. So we're doing that, and then we're also going into schools to deliver like talks and delivering the training to teachers. And we're also like a little hub as well for like parents, if they're like parents in like the countryside, if their children or they've noticed as their child are experiencing racism. Like we've gotten so many emails from like parents being like, my child has experienced racism here. Like, first of all, like I really want to connect with like a community that can help me, but also like I really want if you have any advice on like how I could like, you know, deal with that with the school. And what we did, we went to the school, gave the talk, spoke to the teachers, principals, and then also spoke to the teacher, the parent. So we do a lot of those kind of stuff on an education basis, and then we're also trying to diversify and inclusive, make the curriculum inclusive, like what we're learning in schools and everything like that.
Yeah, fair.
Can I ask a question? Yeah?
Of course.
You know, with like trainings and like talks and all that kind of stuff, because you know everyone's got the what's that training that they make you do to carry things properly at work?
Manual handling. I could give that training at this stage.
I
I've done it so many times.
However, nobody actually follows the manual handling training. That's why with some stuff like that, like training on racism and all this kind of thing, it feels like, is it just one of those things where it's like at work? Do you know how many trainings I do? I click through and it doesn't actually change me or how I view things or make me lift with my legs. I'll lift with my back still. Like, do you feel like the racism training and the racism stuff like that and the talks and stuff like that actually has an impact on the teachers and how the teachers relate to black students? Because for us, we went through school and the racism was
even of like I remember a football match being racially abused, saying it to the ref. I know like she's not a teacher at the time, and it was like, and the ref told me that, I said, this is what he called me, and the ref says, I know, but you need to behave. Like, I was like, again, you're 14, 15, so you're kind of like, do you know what? Maybe I shouldn't provoke them. Like, you start thinking, all I'm doing is playing football. You start thinking, maybe I shouldn't provoke them. But getting older, you're thinking like, why was I the one told to behave? If you're calling me names.
Even on a different level, on a less like overt level, why are all of us black boys that were playing football automatically put on the wing?
Because you're quick and powerful.
Literally, like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I was playing rugby, I was a forward. I was like one of the first three in the thing. But then a new teacher came. Oh yeah, put Troy on the wing.
I was actually
you don't even know if I'm fast.
I was actually in Charlie's the other day. I was waiting for my food, and this guy says, "Oh yeah, well, I coach Stella Maris. I have 4 black kids. I played one of them in the middle for the physicality."
Oh my god!
But do you get what
I
I mean?
God, this was Friday. this was because I played one of them in the middle for, because you know he can't play, but he's a physicality. I'm waiting for my Charlie's. I'm like, I don't have time to educate you on racism right now. Let me get my food and get out of here. But that's kind of this training
with those situations. Do you think the training helps? And also, is there a follow up to find out what happened after?
Yeah, so the way that that Brianna, our education coordinator, director now, developed the program was to make it as interactive. Like I think it's like about 6 hours of it's very intense, but like it needs to be, because it like for that kind of training, like you really need, like it's going through like your biases and like we all have biases and we have to like challenge them, and like she goes through that training like really really like intimately, or like 6 hours intensely. So and then there is that follow up as well. Like I go back to the schools and the training and like delivering the talks as well, to make sure that like it's not just like a tick the box item. And to make sure that like, you know, they're actually incorporating what they're learning as well. Like, so I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. How to follow up on the train. I wanted to say, like, you grew up in Kildare, Longford, Offaly. What was that experience like growing up in like counties where I grew up in Balbriggan, and I was fortunate. There was a good group of black people, and I could integrate myself, and I never felt like an outsider in those. But I don't know what it was like then, like the counties where you
opposite
grew
for me. It was very, like growing up, like I can't count on how many like fingers that the number of black people that I knew or like went to school with. I was very like, I always felt like I was very disconnected to like the black community and because I didn't like, there was like, it was in a predominantly white area that I grew up in. So one of the reasons I joined Black and Irish was that connection to the black community and to like kind of like see like the different, like it's like not a monolith, like people are like black people are different, and like I felt like I was an outsider, like I felt like I was like not one of the cool kids or anything like that. So yeah, it was. We're
tribal people, you know. We will go to where we feel like these people look like me. I'm gonna debate. Like even when I was in school, it wasn't like a conscious decision, like I'm gonna hang out with the black kids. Like, they probably look like me, but probably don't understand me, so we just kind of all grouped and bunched together, and we're like, luckily we're all in the same class as well, like, you know, in the same years. So, but then as I started going into college, and I realized like people that didn't grow up in Dublin probably didn't have that experience. Like there's certain areas, there's pockets like Blanche, Tala, Balbriggan, Navan. That was like, okay, then I said, okay, you grew up in Longford. What was that like?
Greatest county in Ireland.
Did you have to play hurling or Gaelic or anything?
No, I was a soccer man.
Okay.
Like many young boys, my dream was to be a football player, but clearly not materialized.
Same.
How was Longford? Longford was actually, it was complex. I grew up in a working class environment, like many of my black friends. Grew up with my mom, a single mother household, my brother. It was fine. I had everything I needed. Culturally, the black community was very vibrant, very vast. There was a big church culture in the Nigerian community as well. I had lots of black friends. We stuck together as well. If there was any hardship, say with racism or discrimination, we always banded together.
So everyone's pulling up to fight, yeah?
There were some scraps around the corner. To put it formally. But not with my friend group all that much, but we were protective about each other. And there were moments of racism, undeniably. There were lots of misunderstanding and cultural ignorance, and that was projected upon us as people. And sometimes you felt you had to assimilate to like the dominant white view. So if they called you a monkey, you'd like force a laugh because these were the like big cool kids, and you couldn't necessarily combat that, or else you're going to be stigmatized. So
no, you've got no crack.
You've got no crack. So that crack culture is something that even us as an organization, Black and Irish, we're trying to address so that we can culturally shift the mindset here in Ireland. But no, Longford was great. No issues at Longford.
Yeah, don't say no offense to you or anything, and they say something racist, and you can't really like, because that's the group. Like I played football, so only black guy in the team. Say no offense to you, Jordo. They say something offensive, but I was like, if I start acting up, coming to training on Thursday, it's long.
And then all of a sudden you're the outsider now.
Yeah, now you're the outsider. Yeah, so you just want to be. Well, yourself then. How was Offaly?
Yeah, the way you said it. No, it's pretty similar to Longford as well, because I knew everybody. Everyone that's black in the town knew them. If a new one come into the town, you'd be like, who's that? You know? But no, similar as well. Like there was 3 black girls in my year, and like it was a weird feeling of like you couldn't all just hang out at once. Like we were all in like different groups, different friend groups, because it was like, oh, each friend group had like one black person, another black person, and it was, the racism wasn't heavy or anything, but I definitely felt that it was like one of the only black people there, like everyone's smart. But after I left the college, surprisingly, during the whole movement, George Floyd, a lot of people from my town actually just text me on Instagram, all like long messages apologizing for any like. Maybe
I'm the person that's wrong. No one white person texted me. Like,
really?
No one. Like, fam, I want to experience some white guilt.
No, but you know when they say like they'll do subtle things that they, to them at the time they don't think it's like racist, but like now they're like they're actually starting to think that okay, that
Yeah, not
actually would've-
exactly. This is a good, not to excuse racism. And I say this to DJ Laws. Like some people, we were the first black person they experienced. Like coming, I've had people they come from Leitrim, never seen black people. They're trying to relate to me. So the quickest point of relation is like, do you listen to Tupac?
Bro,
in a moment I'm like,
Guy,
this is weird.
It's 2012. Tupac died in 1970.
Well, in 2017, I can understand like even some people now is like I see people if they're black and they know I like football. The quickest point of conversation is like talk about football to that guy. So on the level I'm like I can like empathize like with that line of thinking. Is like that's a black person. I've only seen them on TV. I've never really had a conversation with them. Why can't I make myself personable to them so they like me? I want to be liked. Let's talk about rap music. It's a bit weird. It's like you could have talked to me about anything else. But getting older, like I say, your way, they might not have realized what it was at that time. But now they have the information and the knowledge. Of like maybe I should not talk to that guy about Biggie.
Yeah, but you know the thing I hate about racism, is that
That is racist.
not even like after a while you get used to it. But you know, I hate having to check myself to see if I'm crazy. Because okay, so in my school,
Was that racist? You're like,
because in my school, there coincidentally is only ever 3 black boys in every year.
Oh.
Like
what you mean? We had loads, man.
No,
We had a whole football team one year.
What's called?
We had so many.
In every single, like when I was in school, in every single year, barring 1 year, there was only ever 3 black boys in every year. And the 1 year that there was more than 3, he transferred in later.
Oh, you think there was like a quota?
Bro, that's what,
See,
bro,
makes it look like-
bro, it felt like that.
Specifically.
Bro, me, Toby, Izzy, Moyo, Chris, Charles. Yeah, it's pretty much 3. It's damn near 3.
I can understand what you think. I was like, wait, why is that's too specific? If I was
Way
saying,
too specific.
yeah,
but
if I was saying it regularly,
that was my whole secondary school experience, essentially.
My friends and I, we actually had a similar experience in geography class for junior year. I remember there's like 6 black people in the class, and a test came on, and every black person got 40. Like the people who try, the people who don't try, the people that thought they're gonna fail, the people that thought they're gonna get an A, we all got 40. We all looked around like,
Because now in that situation, I'm sitting there like,
am I crazy?
there is like never say never, right? But there is a chance that we could have all gotten 40. But come on.
What are the odds?
And I think when we were all in school, like we didn't have the like language or even like we felt it. Like I don't know about you, but I felt like when like someone was being like the microaggressions and everything, but I didn't have that like I kind of only like realized like what microaggression like the word microaggression like during the George Floyd aftermath of that. It's like now we have the language and now we're able to like actually be like, wait, no, I'm not crazy. Like this is microaggression.
The big one with like black women I hear was like with the hair. Like that's the one I hear a lot. I was like, oh, can I touch your hair? Is it like that? So I can't.
They don't even ask. They just touch.
they pull it.
Oh my god!
It happened to a friend of mine at work like 2 years ago. She let her afro out, and then one of the girls just says, "Oh my god, I love your hair." She just went to grab it, and I saw it happening in real time. Like it's happening in slow motion. I want to run over and say no, but it's too late, and I was like, oh no, that should have never happened. But what you do with Black and Irish now? Do you enjoy it? The working with Black and Irish? Experience?
Yeah. So I'm kind of transferring into a new role at the moment to do more with the community, and I love that because I love meeting new people. I love talking to like everybody, kind of a thing. So I'm excited for that.
And you guys, because I know Eric's always giving those. What do you think about the rep that Black and Irish get in the community? Though? I know you don't work with them, but do you probably hear the criticism and do you think it's like
because I'm outside? I see exactly what you guys are talking about, how people feel, like, but it's because I also know the people inside. I also see that how they're trying to help and how they're trying to make movements, and it's like it takes a lot of time to do these things. It's not just like you just go and like even doing events. Like you need funding, you need money. You can't just do all these things. So seeing both sides, I see the both sides.
So you're from the inside, so you're looking at like obviously Leon did the pod. And another podcaster was saying, then they gave more pushback. And I remember texting DJ, I'm like, I don't think it would have mattered what he would have said. People have made up their minds and they're like, this is what it is. But how do you see it?
Yeah, like I agree with you there. Like people will think whatever they want to think, kind of a thing. And I think it's just important, like when what we're doing inside is like we're doing it from a place of like wanting to kind of build. Not even build, but like kind of like contribute to like the community, try and make everything like kind of like not like improve the quality of life, but also kind of like bring people together and just kind of like that network, like you were saying. It's like a network, like of like talking to people that you would have never even talked to before. Like, I mean, like going to like premieres, like never ever would have happened that before. So
I think if more people try to look at it like, oh, I can use as a tool. Let's say, for example, like I can be in a room with the Dammy Hope or in an event, or I can go to a premiere, or I can see a 10-point plan or affordable housing. Like, I don't know, changing people's perception is hard. Like Deji saying, those people are going to be cynical, and Deji has given pushback on a lot of things, and that's how a lot of people will see. And that's why I like Deji, because sometimes it's like the balance. It's like there's going to be people that view it that way, and it's important for him to also be here and be like, I see what you're saying. People might look at it as like, it's a 10-point plan. What's really going to change? But me, anyways, I say it's like, look, as the creatives or the people doing the podcast or the people in front of the cameras, we're the ones that get or at the premieres or at this. So like, there's a conflict of interest or beneficial element for us, but I can understand where someone that doesn't do a podcast or doesn't do music or isn't cello, and they're looking at the Black and Irish. I'm like, but what do you guys do for me if I'm not performing in front of people, or if I don't have a camera in front of me? But
I think the question needs to change from what do you do for me to what are you doing for us?
Yeah.
Because there's a subtle difference between me and us. Us means that our reality is going to be changed so that all of us can participate in enjoying the cake to a certain extent. Me, once you individualize that question, it means it's all about the circumstances of your life. No organization has the power to impact your life in a way that's just so specific that it relates to you. So we have to change the question from an individualistic one to a communitarian one.
That's fair. And just to wrap up then, the event is when again?
15th of July, Epic Irish Immigration Museum. It's going to be a big one. We have great speakers. Hopefully we're going to have Yemi Adenuga and Emer O'Neill speak at the event. We're going to have some performances. The goal of this event is to uplift the community too in terms of who are giving opportunities at this event. So the musicians we're going to have, they're pretty well renowned. We're not going to disclose them yet, but they're people who are still on the come up. The people who are involved in this event are Black and Irish.
That's another point I actually wanted to make. Sometimes it's like the people on the come up probably needs the light shine on them a bit more. Do you know? Like when the Black and Irish went to Joe Biden or something, the pushback was like, why is he taking Where's Your Head At or Zeta, for example? Those people have clout, or they're already known, or they have a platform. They don't need that light shine on them as much as for, I don't know who the upcoming artists are, but that's another point I would have, if I actually was thinking about making. I was like, it's more beneficial. Like cello will be fine, cello office will be fine, it'll be good. I'm not saying they can't use the light, but they will be good. Now it's like, okay, who's up and coming, who's trying to make a name for themselves in any department? Music was the one that came to my head. Like there's fashion, there's everything. So I do think like it's more beneficial to give people that would benefit from that platform more than the guys that are doing festivals in Europe. They're good.
Yeah, I know.
They're good.
That's what we're going to achieve with this event. And in terms of organizing this event, Munachi is someone in the Black Irish community who isn't necessarily inside the organization in a formal sense, but she's played a stellar role. She's on the executive. This is the executive team with relation to organizing the event, because we want to give opportunity to talent in the community to step up and offer their offerings towards building something that's greater than ourselves. So this event is going to be unprecedented in many ways, and you'll be surprised. Many politicians who we've interacted with so far about this event have been sold on the idea. They see Ireland needs this. It's the first attempt to politically codify contribution from the Black Irish community, so it's unprecedented. So whether it's a baby step or the step of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, it's a step.
It's a step.
So we just have to build from here.
Grand.
And we hope you're involved with it. Whoever's watching. Come to the event. Get involved with the chain. We need your voice.
We always say this to wrap up the pod. Like, look, thank you guys for coming, first of all. And if you guys have anything that you ever want to talk about, promote, look, just hit us a DM like you did, and we can work out a time. Or if you're just like, you know what, I have opinions and people need to hear it, I want to have a conversation with the boys, hit us up. Same process. So we don't mind. And if you guys are listening to this pod and you made it to the end and you didn't like anything that we said here today, well, you can charge it to the game.
That's right.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.